A large number of Hindus protested outside the BBC headquarters in London on Saturday against its coverage of both British Hindus and India. The protest was directed particularly against BBC coverage of the recent rioting in Leicester.
Hindus have been complaining to the BBC for almost 30 years about their bias when they report anything to do with Hindus or to do with India. But we've never been able to back it up with solid evidence. The reason we're all out today here is because Leicester is the evidence. If you wanted evidence of criminality, of Hindus being targeted with violence, the evidence is there in front of everybody. And yet the BBC chose not to report that. What it did is it pursued a ghost, a mirage, a straw man that somehow it had created and accepted as being real. And the straw man is Hindutva extremists.
Satish Sharma personally investigated the events in Leicester.
So I spent time in Leicester to actually satisfy myself of what had happened, who it had happened to and where it had happened. So I went to Ground Zero and met families whose homes had been attacked. I met members of the temple community who had actually been corralled and virtually imprisoned in their mandir whilst violence was going on outside. That is evidence. The police have recorded this as evidence, and to my understanding there are 157 evidence-based acts of criminality. This is not just casual criminality, this is religiously targeted and motivated criminality, which makes it a hate crime. This is evidenced. Now what the question that then arises is, what did the BBC publish? Where is the evidence of Hindutva extremist gangs functioning anywhere in this country, never mind on the streets of Leicester? Why have the police not published one particular report where they have said, we have found a Hindu extremist who is motivated by this terrible Hindutva straw man motivation? There is zero evidence. And this is where the BBC has failed us so dramatically. This actually hurts us. When somebody like the BBC publishes such hate tropes and platforms Islamists, that harms us. This is their version of persecution of British Hindus.
Great Western handed over a memorandum to a BBC official who promised to pass it on to BBC bosses.
So I want you guys to take this aside.
The reason why I'm here is because, frankly, I'm disgusted at the inaccurate and divisive reporting that the BBC continuously spews out. We saw